So the last thing that I want to talk about when it comes to databases is how they sort of work a little bit more on the inside. So we know from our code here, if we go to our top level project, I'm just going to close up all these folders here. There's this file out in the very top called db.sqlite3. And this is in fact where all the information is stored about the different objects that are in our database. And if you kind of look at this file, you can start to see sort of what's in there, but it looks pretty intense. Like this is not very human readable. But there's lots of different programs and websites out there that allow you to view what an SQLite3 database is like. So if we go ahead and go to Chrome and just search for SQLite Viewer, lots of different options out there. I found this one that this is just an online one. So it's inloop.github.io/SQLite-viewer. There's tons of ones out there. It's not like this one's magical or anything like that. But with this, it's saying, hey, if you drag an SQLite3 file into here, you can take a look at it. So I wouldn't recommend uploading any of your databases that have sensitive information. In our case, there's nothing sensitive that we have here. I just want to show you the guts of what a database looks like. So I'm going to go into the personal portfolio project. I'm going to drag this SQLite3 file in and look at this. Okay, so it's going to say, what do you want to look at? Essentially, if you click on this, this shows all the different tables that are inside of the database. So at first when you see this, it's like, what? There's this many tables? These are here because those apps that are installed for us, like for example, everything with auth, that's all created by Django so that we can like log in to the admin, right? All that stuff. There's even admin stuff in there. There's stuff about sessions. Really the things that are important to us is this blog_blog and portfolio_project. So let's take a look at the portfolio project. So you can see it tells us there's 2 rows in there, and look, this is the data. So when I said inside of a database, there's tables, these are all the tables. So for example, there's a table for the portfolio project, and inside of it are rows, and the rows basically hold the object information. So everything here should look familiar, like the title, description, image, and URL, except for the ID. And you may be wondering, what's this ID? Well, the ID, this is something handled by Django that every time you create a new object, it's going to assign an ID to that. And basically the rule is that the IDs have to be unique. Like you can't create 2 different blog objects that have the same ID. And you should never try and manually manipulate those IDs. Just let Django handle it. Like, you know, let's say you make 5 blog posts and the IDs are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you decide to delete number 3. Then you're going to have 1, 2, 4, and 5. Don't go back and try and make your 6th one blog number 3. You're going to run into all sorts of issues with Django. Django will just make that ID 6 and keep rolling forward. Just don't worry about the numbers being out of place. You technically can do it, but it is so messy and you are kind of going against the grain with Django and it's going to be nasty. Okay. Next, just want to show you here, if we go to blog_blog, look, here's all of our different blog posts here. Same story, right? There's IDs and then the different items that we give it. Okay. So the real magic with Django is that it handles all the work of when we save an object, that it puts all that information into SQL queries or commands and, you know, puts it into the database, takes it back out, turns into Python objects. It's like, I'm just showing you a taste of how complicated things could be for you to appreciate how awesome Django is. Really, the only other thing that I'd like to mention here is that there's lots of different types of databases out there. The default one here in Django is SQLite3, but there's MySQL databases. Maybe you've heard of that. Windows has their own version. There's Postgres. There's like no SQL databases. Like I'm trying to think of one of those. I think Mango is one. There's lots of different type of databases. And what's great about Django is you can actually switch between those databases without changing hardly any of your code. Really, if you want to use something like Postgres or one of the others, if you go to your settings, okay, and you scroll down to where you have your database, instead of saying, I want an SQLite3 database, you have to put in the pertinent information to, you know, make it a Postgres database or a MongoDB, whatever it is. And there's lots of great tutorials on that, but I just wanted you to be aware that Django can work with a lot of different types of databases. And again, the magic of Django is they handle all the complexity of working with those different ones. You just sort of plug in the difference here and it just works. Okay, so that's all that I have for you. Hopefully you're feeling awesome about databases and how cool they are. Let's go talk now about static images.